Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast. Have you ever heard the phrase, nurses eat their young? Feeding Our Young is more than a podcast. It's a movement. It's a desire to see new nurses of all ages be supported and uplifted by their peers. And it starts with me. It starts with you. So join host Eric Miller, registered nurse of nearly 20 years, an adjunct clinical instructor, and today's honored guest, me, Bente Gilbertson, and be ready to have your life uplifted so you can, in turn, uplift others. Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the part B, the B-side, the flip side, the part 2 Bente experience. And if you are somehow only catching this as it's releasing, stop right now. Go back and listen to her first episode first, because it, again, doesn't define her, but it sure will inform a lot of what you're about to hear. So it would make more sense if you heard that first episode. And Bente, welcome back. Gosh, how are you? It's been so long.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Oh, likewise. I just, she and I are chatting, off air there in between. And I just want to hug you. I want to hug you. So inspiring. And so let's, this episode's going to be a little more of what you would expect from a traditional episode. So we'll start with we'll soft lob a couple of just getting to know Bente questions. And then we're going to dive headfirst into nursing and what that looked like for her and what that may look like for her in the future. So first and foremost, Bente, you've already talked about motorcycle riding being one of your previous favorite hobbies.
Yes.
What other things get you going? What are the things you're doing when you're not all consumed with nursing and caring for others?
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. So first of all, let me just say, if I could get on a bike today, I would.
Wow.
Nothing about riding has changed for me. So, yeah, there's that. Boy, I don't have any real hobbies at the moment because I can't. So before my accident, we had a farm. We still have a little farm. Goats and pigs and chickens and horses were my thing. But obviously I can't ride anymore, so I had to sell my horse. The goats, like the farm stuff is just kind of on the back burner right now because I'm not really able to get out there and do the things. I recently got an aquarium, and like that is my world at the moment. During the day when nobody's home, I'm staring at my fish tank.
Oh, what, if you don't mind my asking, what kind of fish?
Right now I just have like little neon tetras and a couple little gold barbs and shrimp. So yeah, I got these little shrimp and they're so cute and they're all different colors and they're just busy and cute and they have little tiny antennas and arms and I love watching them.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And then also, just to, you kind of, open the door a little bit to this, but what do you want to share about your lovely family?
Gosh, I have the best family. I have 4 kids. They are 15. Gosh, let me see if I can remember. 15, 20, 25, and 28. They're going to tell me that I got all of those ages wrong when they hear this. I also have my lovely partner, Scott, of going on 7 years. And my entire family has been amazing through this journey. And I can't forget that it has been traumatic and a challenge for them also. So they have never left my side. They are my caregivers at times. They are my cheerleaders. They just have really stepped up and taken a lot of responsibility for things that I can't do anymore. And it's been great. I also have the most amazing granddaughter who was born almost a year ago. And I call her my daughter-in-law. She's very amazing. We love her to pieces. And they are both a part of our life now that we are just so blessed.
Oh, Grandma Benta, I didn't even
Yeah. Oh, no,
know.
no, 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 no. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I take
No,
it back. I take
no,
it
no,
back.
no. Grandma is my grandma. Uh, I am Gigi.
Gigi.
I
Oh, I
am
love it.
Gigi.
I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's so beautiful. And I love that your family's so support. Shout out to your family, because obviously you would think, people are like, well, of course they're supportive. Well, that's not always the case. We
Nope.
nurses see that every day. You know what I mean? A traumatic thing happens, and there's some people that come out of the woodwork that support you in ways that you never thought would be possible. And then there
Hmm.
are others that you would expect to be able to lean on that I don't know, you know what I mean? Kind of disappear, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
And so no, that's amazing that they just love you and you love them, and uh, just love it. I absolutely love the whole thing. So if it's all right with you, Benta, let's talk nursing. And we've already established how amazing, an incredible nurse that you are, not were.
Oh,
And so, why nursing? How did you end up in this amazing field?
yeah. It happened with the birth of my first son. My my first son was born prematurely. He was born at 27 weeks, and I was a young mom. I was 18, and when he was in NICU, there were a lot of nurses who treated me like just some young dumb teen,
Hmm.
who, shouldn't have had a child, didn't know what I was doing, couldn't possibly care for this fragile infant kind of thing. And it just, nobody said that to me, but it was the vibe.
Yeah.
And then I had this most amazing NICU nurse, and thank goodness she was my son's primary NICU nurse. She treated me like a mom of a premature infant. She taught me, she took her time, she helped me figure out how to take care of this tiny human, give him a bath, dress him, feed him, change him, hold him, do all of these things that most of the other nurses would just step in and do for me. She was just amazing in her energy and her dedication and the education that she provided to me. And that was my catalyst for I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to help other people through situations that through their most vulnerable times,
Yeah.
unless you're doing, you know, I don't know. I honestly, maybe I can't even think of a nursing niche that doesn't meet patients at a vulnerable time because we wouldn't be seeing them unless they were vulnerable. I don't know, maybe outpatient clinic or who knows. But
Yeah.
anyway, I wanted to be that supportive person in someone's time of need.
Mm.
And that's what drove me to nursing school. And uh, I was a late starter in terms of like going to college because I didn't go or even start my path to nursing until I was in my early 20s after that. And honestly, I started first being like I went to school to be a med tech, first because I wanted something that was quick. I was a mom, a young mom, a single mom. I had this child I needed to provide for. So
Yeah.
who had time for nursing school? Not me. So it took me a while to actually get going, but I did, and I ended up having a second child when I was 21, and I think part of that was like, okay, now you really have to get your life together.
Mm.
Now you really have to provide and figure out what you're going to do and do it.
Yeah.
So I did. I got my CNA first. I took this fly by night course from a nurse who, I don't know, I guess she taught CNAs and you got a certificate at the end and that made you able to sit for the test. And so that's what I did. and I worked my way through nursing school as a CNA. Yeah,
So then, I mean, so you haven't started nursing school by the time you've had your second child.
right.
So and you're working as a CNA going through. I mean, like I can't even imagine having all of that on the plate. What is that like going through nursing school, being a mama of two
Hmm.
small, beautiful kiddos, and also working?
Yeah. Boy, it was tough. It was tough, let me tell you. There were times where I remember there was this one time where my second baby, he was very sick. He had a cold, and he couldn't go to daycare. And
Mm.
I had a lab that day. I had a lab exam in anatomy and physiology, and it was something that you just couldn't miss. You couldn't miss it. And I brought him to school with me because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I had this, sick kid in a stroller. I'm going to my anatomy
Oh.
and physiology class. I'm near tears because I don't know what to do. I don't want my grade to drop, and I go to my teacher. And I had what was historically known as the worst A&P teacher. He
Oh.
was, you know, he was tough. He was mean. He graded you really hard and was
Mm.
harsh to you. I was terrified, but I didn't know what else to do. So I came to class. I had this kid, this sick, snotty kid in a stroller, and I went up to him and I said, "Oh my God, Mr. So and so, this is what's happening, and I have a test and I know it is I had to bring him, and what do I do?" And he was so gentle and nice, and he said, "You know what? Go home and take care of your sick baby. We'll figure out the lab part later." And I was like, my mind was just blown. I was like, what? And I did. I went home. I took care of my sick kid, and I ended up passing A&P with flying
Yeah.
colors. He wrote me a letter of recommendation, for nursing school, and it was moments like those that kept me going,
Yeah.
even though it was hard. I was working, I was going to school, taking kids to daycare and school, and it was my drive and that stubbornness I talked about earlier. I was going to be a nurse, gosh darn it, and I was going to do it come heck or high water. You couldn't stop me.
Yeah.
So, and it was what it was. And I had an amazing supportive journey
Yeah.
through the whole thing. And I had great nursing school friends who, we studied and they came over to my house when they could because I had kids and they didn't. And we studied at the dinner table after they went to bed. And,
Oh.
it was great. It was great.
That's incredible, and that's you're kind of answering the question. I was like, how do you like? A lot of people, nursing school is a slog. It's you know what I mean. It's brutal. It's challenging. It's all the things, and
Yeah.
yet most people I talk to are like, but I enjoyed it. And so I'm like, through all the difficulties you're going through, I mean, like, were there other things that you enjoyed about nursing school while going through this trying time?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed just about all of it.
Hmm.
Especially when I actually got into nursing school and started, the nursing classes and the clinicals. I was so stoked about that. Sure, sometimes classroom time is boring and it's like you're just memorizing things and preparing for tests and taking tests and notes and all kinds of things. But when we got to clinicals, it that was the part of nursing school that I found so much joy in. Luckily I had great clinical instructors. I didn't meet any nurses, on the floors and on the units that were like, "Oh God, it's nursing students, here they come."
Yeah.
It was none of that. It was always just teaching and education and learning and going through the process with patients and, learning how to med pass. How do you give insulin? All of those things I just found fascinating and were just so much fun for me.
And that's evident even now. You're talking that's 22 years ago, as we established in the first episode.
Mhm.
You're talking over 2 decades ago, and that's still evident today. Just how much you enjoy the field of nursing. So I guess the obvious question then becomes, you already established you're an OB nurse. Where did that come into play? I mean, was that just stemming also from the NICU situation with your son, or was there something special there, or unique or that stood out?
Hmm. I'm not really sure where it came from. I thought when I was in nursing school that I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse, which, if I'm honest, kind of is like very common, I think, for nursing students,
Mm-hmm.
especially girls,
Mm-hmm.
They want to do labor and delivery and it's cute and babies and oh my gosh, and or postpartum, and like, oh, tiny babies, so cute.
Yeah.
But when I when I did my labor and delivery rotations in nursing school, I was like terrified. I was like, what is this world? Why are we running to the OR? I hate it. I don't like that. Like what why aren't these babies just sliding out beautifully and like, so cute and clean and beautiful? Why does it smell so bad? Like it was just I I don't know. I just and the funny part is I was actually working on labor and delivery as a tech at the time.
Oh, wow.
And that also fueled my like, oh, I want to be a nurse, a labor and delivery nurse, labor and delivery nurse, labor and delivery nurse. But there is so much responsibility on you as a labor and delivery nurse. Like you have to know you are taking care of two people.
Mm-hmm.
You are taking care of the mom who's a patient. You're taking care of baby who's also a patient. And it's a patient you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just rely on your knowledge of monitoring fetal heart rhythms and contraction patterns, and you got to know when your baby's in distress, and those kinds of things really scared me. So, and then I also there's this part too, and I will say that this has changed immensely since my rotations in labor and delivery, but there was there was a patient who wasn't progressing. She was a primate who wasn't progressing, by the book and how the doctors wanted her to progress. And I remember sitting back in the lounge with her doctor, and she's just kind of looking at her phone and just kind of like annoyed, and decided that she was going to do a C-section so that she could make her son's soccer game that was at 5 o'clock or whatever.
Oh,
She didn't want to miss the soccer game. She had to go. And that wasn't the first time that I saw that happen. And I was appalled.
yeah.
I was appalled. And I was a nursing student at the time, and I felt like I didn't have any kind of authority or there was no way I could speak up as a nursing student and advocate for the patient. Like, she would tear me apart. I was
Yeah.
I was terrified. And I saw C-sections done so that doctors could make dinner plans and things like that. I will say that I have never seen that done as a labor and delivery nurse myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the physicians that I have worked with, that has never happened. But that happened twice in my clinical rotations, and
Wow.
that made me not want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Forget it. So I left nursing school with a different plan, and I went to oncology, and I did all kinds of different nursing in the next 20 years, but except labor and delivery. But it was kind of always on the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did med surg, I did oncology, I did home hospice, I did pediatrics, I did mom baby, I did everything but labor and delivery. Okay. The one thing that I thought I wanted to do. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was working at Madigan Army Hospital at the time. We kind of closed down our unit. We were in oncology. Everybody shut down elective procedures.
Yeah.
We didn't admit patients for chemo. We did it out. Like everything kind of shut down on my unit, and I was bored to tears. Everybody was getting called off and, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided in my brilliant mind that I was going to go to New York and travel and be a travel nurse. I just saw all of the chaos that was happening in New York, all of the craziness, the shortage, the nursing shortage, and I was like, well, I'm not doing anything here, so why don't I just do that?
I'm gonna go meet
Uh,
this need that's like thousands of miles away.
yep. So I did. I signed on a nursing contract and I said, let's go. And I did COVID nursing there. I stayed for I stayed for 3 months, I think. I was at a community hospital on the outskirts of New York City, and it was terrible. It was terrible. It was the most terrible nursing that I have ever experienced in my
Mm,
life. And it was kind of after that that I was like, life is too short. I want to do labor and delivery. I want to try it. After this, like I'm done. I can't do this kind of nursing anymore.
yeah.
And it took me a while to get a fellowship. I applied and I applied and I applied, and I either didn't get a call back or I interviewed and didn't get a call back. I'm a terrible interviewee. Like I stumble, I forget, I don't, I did, like I'm a terrible at being interviewed.
Oh.
Um, and I had the very last interview before I actually got hired. The nurse told me that, it was just hard to hire experienced nurses because labor and delivery is such a different world. It's like the old saying, teaching an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
You're so set in how nursing is in the med surg world, for instance, that after so many years of experience, they have a hard time retraining, these nurses to think from a labor and delivery OB perspective.
Yeah.
She was just very honest with me. And so that was kind of discouraging at the time. And I was still on the west side of the state at the time, but we decided to move over to the east side and come to Spokane area. And that's when I interviewed with two hospitals, Sacred Heart and Colville, and they both wanted me. And I was like, what? Like, and I actually had to make a decision. I had to choose
Wow.
instead of, being turned down. So I chose Sacred Heart. And, at the time I was working at our tiny little, rural hospital at Newport and in med surge. And I had to give that up. We had labor and delivery at one time, but they shut it down because we didn't have enough labor and delivery nurses to actually keep the unit open. So I went to Sacred Heart, and that's where my journey began. And I wish that I had been doing it my entire nursing career because I love it so much. It's OB nursing just has my heart.
Yeah.
I sorry, I'm gonna cry again.
No, yeah.
Um,
Let that
boy,
passion out, sister. Let that passion out.
gosh, how do I even? There is just something about being with those mamas and those people i- in that time that is just so near and dear to my heart, and humbling and amazing and terrifying and sad and just wow, just incredible. Incredible. Those patients who are delivering those babies, those families, they are all trusting you to get them through this process safely. They are looking to you for advice, for direction, for reassurance. Is everything okay? Am I doing this right? How do I how do I get through this? Is it going to hurt? All of these things, they're just, unless it's their seventh baby, in
Mm-hmm.
which case they deliver in the hallway anyway, and they go right to mom baby. But um yeah, it's just an incredible time to be with somebody. And I kind of liken it to hospice nursing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hospice nursing, you are also with patients in their most vulnerable time, the unknown, what's going to happen? What is this going to look like? Is it going to hurt? You know, being with a patient when they are in their final moments as they are dying is it's just like the birth experience. These are two sacred times in the human experience that you don't get to do over.
Hmm.
You don't get a second chance. So you have got to do your best as a nurse to make it the experience that they want and that they deserve. And that is so humbling to me. And so I feel so honored to be a part of that experience.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence that it's the two ends of the spectrum, right?
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
beginning of life, the end of life, two of the most sacred times in a human being's lifespan.
Mm,
That, like you said, where we genuinely, I feel like part of that too is we want control over these situations, right? As much control as we can have. We must be
yes.
able to control this birth must be great, this baby must be okay, and we can control this. I know we can, just like everything else in life, right? And at the end of life, how do we control that? How do I make sure I know what's happening afterwards? How do I have a comfortable death? How do I have all these things? And yet I find that they're probably two of the most uncontrollable situations in life.
Yeah.
And for you to be there, to be that steward, that guide, that, obviously I imagine there are times where you say, I don't have all the answers, but
Hmm.
based on what I've seen and based on what I can do, here's what we're gonna make this the easiest, the best, the possible, the most comfortable, whatever, fill in the blank.
Hmm.
I can't like, and you've already touched on it, but how do you speak towards being that person in those moments, those of the most sacred moments possible? How are you able to be that guide?
Hmm. Yeah. A lot of it comes from the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and just wanting the best for everyone involved. Truly, genuinely wanting the best. A lot of it is s- the ability to stay calm in
Mm-hmm.
stressful situations because patients and families are going to feed off your energy. They are going to know your energy the minute you walk into the room. So it's in how you carry yourself, how you explain things to patients, give how you give options instead of this is this is it. This is what you're going to do and this is how you're going to do it and you're not going to do it any different way.
Yeah.
Even when there really is no option, I will always try to give options.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it this way and have this possible outcome. We can do it that way and have this possible outcome. We could what do you want? What are your needs and what is most important to you? How do we get through this together in a way that we honor your experience and give you the best possible outcome? I always want my patients to feel like they're in control, always and always, whether it's the dying experience or the birth experience.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of that, I'm just a carer by nature. I was born that way. When I was little, I was obsessed with babies. I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to be a mom when I was like, I don't know, 4.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I started babysitting as soon as I was old enough. I started babysitting and I loved it. I was just a carer and a nurturer by nature.
Yeah.
And so that has crossed over into, my nursing path for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And not only your nursing path as your bedside career, but you also wanted to speak towards, and this was evident even when I would interact with you and those few times that I got to interact with you, but your love of teaching new hires, students, new grads, things of that nature. So talk to us about what it is. Why are you passionate about that? Obviously, I mean, you end up on this podcast. I hope that people love students that are on this podcast. But I mean, what is that you want to speak towards then?
Gosh, I just remember what it was like to be a nursing student and feel like you knew absolutely nothing. and uh, maybe even feeling a little stupid because you don't know anything, you know. Uh, When I switched, career paths from like med surg or whatever, nursing to labor and delivery, I was a brand new nurse all over again.
Yep.
I knew nothing. And this is after 20 years of nursing. I didn't know anything. Uh, what's a fundus? I don't, like I don't know what's and I felt so stupid and at times, and it was so eye-opening for me because I had to let go of being a charge nurse, a preceptor, the person that the nurses came to ask questions, to get help with procedure, like to figure out how to do things. I was that person that they came to, and now I was a brand new baby all over again. There's something really vulnerable about being a student that some people just don't understand, or and don't remember what it was like to be that student. I love teaching. I love teaching bedside manner and how to do things correctly, how to treat your patients, how not to just lose your mind if you make a mistake,
Mhm.
because we're human and we're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. How do you react to that mistake? You know, when I'm in a room with a student or like a new hire, for instance, the last thing I want to do is belittle a student in front of a patient or family,
Yeah.
or yell at them, or tell them they're doing something wrong, because that instills fear in a patient and family. You
Yeah.
don't want them to feel like the people who are caring for them don't know what they're doing. So as I'm guiding a student, if I notice something is maybe not going correctly, like maybe a sterile field, I might say something like, should we do this instead, maybe? Or do you want to maybe double check your gloves, or, something to that nature, where it's not like, oh my God, stop, you're doing it wrong. You
Yep.
know, you have to do it over, whatever it is. I want my students to feel comfortable and like they are actually a nurse,
Hmm.
because that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming to be a nurse, and you're aiming to be a good nurse. So when you're at the bedside with me, you are a nurse.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're not a baby, you're not an idiot, you're not someone who doesn't know anything, because you know things. You know things. You have knowledge and you have common sense. I hope. You have common sense, and let's use it. Let's
Yeah.
use it and build on it. I've seen nurses who precept and teach who shouldn't.
Yeah.
I've seen students and preceptees or new hires feel absolutely torn down and discouraged, and just mentally, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
Yeah.
that should never be a part of your learning experience,
Yeah.
ever. And if it is, then you need a new preceptor. You need a new teacher,
Hmm.
because that person was not meant to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You're like speaking my language, sister. Well, then, so the only other question that comes to my mind here, the last question I think I'd ask you before closing in our traditional manner, and
Mm,
you take this ball and run with it as far and as deep as you wish, but it's kind of where we ended your first episode, and I don't want to revisit the trauma of, okay, this, like you said, I can't be a bedside nurse anymore, and to you that was more devastating in many regards than the actual physical injuries that you went through. And so there is
hmm
definitely a mourning, there's definitely a loss there. But as we mourn and mourn and grieve things that we lose in life, we can stop, we can give up. And as you've already clearly established, that is not in your DNA, that is not in your makeup. And you are a fighter, and you are a claw and terror at the things that you want to do, and to continue to do and to pour into others. On the flip side of that, as you said in your first episode, you've been given this second chance, were the words you used. And then the question becomes, what do you do with it? So what does the future look like for Bente? What are your goals, your aspirations? Where are you at on that continuum?
Yeah. Boy, that's a great question. Okay, short answer, I don't know.
There it is. There it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I I'm investigating different ways to go about how I want to finish out my career. I'm definitely not ready to retire. And, with my injuries, I'm considered permanently disabled. So
Yeah.
I am considered medically retired, but I refuse to accept that. That's not my
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So it's time to figure out what to do next. I I don't want to be a case manager. I don't want to be a quality informatics type nurse on a computer going through charts and, whatever. That's not, no, no, thank you. No offense to anyone who does
Nope.
that,
Nope.
or loves it. That's fine. But it's not in my heart. I need to interact with patients or families or students. I need to interact with people.
Yeah.
So before my accident, my plan was to become a nurse midwife. That was the goal that I wanted to achieve. So that's not possible anymore. So what can I do that is OB based, where I can still have interaction with patients and families? And to me, that looks like maybe opening my own business,
Hmm.
and providing, prenatal, postnatal education, home visits, virtual visits, opening my own practice, even.
Hmm.
So that's kind of on the table. There's a company that I'm kind of working with that offers all of the tools that you need to start this type of business. I think now, after being a labor and delivery nurse, like I won't do anything else.
Yeah.
OB is where my heart is. The whole dyad of the baby, the newborn, and the parents, and all of that is very important to me. It's also very important to me to offer inclusive nursing. I don't want to be, I try very hard not to be like, oh, the mama baby, or oh, she and her and this, that, and the other. I want to be sure that I am providing care that is all inclusive, and
Mhm.
honoring those different pronouns and family dynamics and things like that. So my dream would be to open up my own practice and offer services to everyone, being all inclusive, offering maybe products, even like
Yeah.
breast pumps and baby carrier, I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that. In addition to that, I also want to be a teacher and an educator. So I am planning to go forward with my master's degree in education and trying to use that to my advantage, whether it's online teaching or classroom teaching.
Yeah.
Obviously can't provide clinical teaching, but there's got to be something out there for me to do.
Yeah.
Birth classes, at the hospital or in my own practice, labor and
Mm-hmm.
delivery classes,
Mm-hmm.
postpartum classes, helping new families with issues like sleeping and colic and breastfeeding and bottle feeding and all of these things. So all of that to say, the OB postpartum type nursing is in my blood now. It's me. It's part of my body. So
Yeah.
my future looks like that.
Mm. And
Yeah.
bright as bright can be. I'm like going, man, I'm not even a woman and I'd love to be a part. You know what I mean? Like, I want to sit under your tutelage. I want to, you know what I
Yes,
mean?
I'll help you deliver your baby,
I
Eric.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Finally. Oh man. No, Benta, oh my gosh, I could just talk for hours with you. Sadly, we're wrapping this episode up, and so that pulls us back around to
Yeah.
the standard traditional opening or closing questions, which
Yep.
are related to the opening questions. But what are the three words that you used to describe nursing school, and why did you pick them?
Okay. I have to look back, but I know one of the words I used was terrifying, and I think I kind of already explained that. It's just maybe the unknown of nursing, the responsibility. Am I gonna kill somebody? I know I that was a big fear of mine. Oh my gosh, what if I do something wrong and I kill someone? That the terrifying part of nursing school for me was just the clinical aspect. Everything else was just book nonsense and testing and all that. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
What else did I say? I said terrifying and oh, intimidating. I guess probably for the same reason. Just not knowing what I don't know.
Hmm.
Being afraid of instructors, I remember just being terrified of my instructors, but like for no reason because I had great instructors. And yeah, I guess intimidating and terrifying kind of go in hand, I think. Was I going to be a good nurse?
Yeah.
How do I become a good nurse? I didn't know at the time. And then a blast. Oh, I had so much fun in nursing school. I just loved every minute of it.
Mm.
There was no part of it where I was like, oh my gosh, now I gotta go to class and we have clinicals, blah. No, bring it on. I loved it.
Uh,
Um, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat.
mm. And you remind, like, when you had said it earlier too in our discussion, just about how you were like, once you hit the nursing school part of it, kind of beyond the prereqs, and you hit that nursing school, it was the same thing for me. Like, because I didn't grow up wanting to be a nurse, but it was
Hmm.
when you get done, I was doing one prereq a quarter at the community college while working full time, and we're raising our son, and I'm just plodding along. And so I always told people I got a 4 year, 2 year degree. My ADN was my 4 year, 2 year degree because it took me 4 years
Yes.
to get.
Me
But
too, yes.
yeah, but once you hit that nursing school part of it, you're like, this is where it all comes together. And you're right. You're still terrified. You're still all the things. But there's just an exhilaration, a passion that underlies that, and that you have demonstrated in spades, my friend, in the course of this, I don't know, hour and a quarter, whatever that we've been talking together. And so, if you had one thing, just one thing that you want your listeners to walk away from having tucked away in the deepest recesses of their hearts for the rest of time, what would that one thing be?
Don't give up on your passions. Don't give up. No matter how hard it seems, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how unattainable the goal might seem, you can do it. You can do it if you put your mind to it. And yeah, just keep going. Keep going.
And you have demonstrated that clearly over the last however long we've got to talk together. Benta, thank
Yeah.
you so, so much. I cannot tell you what it means to me to reconnect with you and to
Oh, thank
just,
you.
oh, this has been amazing.
This,
And
yes.
yeah,
I loved it. Thank you so much. It was so nice.
here's what's happening on the next episode of Feeding Our Young.
So I was blessed to go with we have an orthopedic surgeon, retired orthopedic surgeon. I believe he used to be one of the orthopedic docs for Gonzaga basketball. His name is Dr. Staley, John Staley, really, really, really wonderful, or not just person, orthopedic surgeon. And he would go to the Dominican Republic and he will go do pro bono surgeries over there for years. And he invited me one year because I spoke Spanish, and that's always been in my heart, is to go and give. And yeah, I did that for like 5 6 years in a row.
Mm.
Very blessed,
Wow.
very blessed. Like, you start to understand, like, we live in a bubble. And some places it's a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. And once you kind of get out of that bubble and you see the world for the human, the non-perfect,
Yeah.
The realness. It not only does it make you appreciate, but it also gives you a sense of like, hey, like perspective matters because
Yeah.
people could have less, but they doesn't mean they don't have a smile. Doesn't mean they can't carry
Yes.
a smile. Can't doesn't mean they can't be happy. And it's just like, you know, that as I always tell people, it's like a smile is a choice.
Did you like today's episode of Feeding Our Young? Want to know more about the Feeding Our Young movement? Check out our website at feedingouryoung.org. Would you like to be featured on a future episode? Maybe have Eric bring his unique brand of encouragement to your nursing students or nurses? Please text us at 509-666-5636 or email us at info@feedingouryoung.org. We're so excited to have you return to hear our next honored guest. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Feeding Our Young LLC. Again, that's username Feeding Our Young LLC. Until next time, be encouraged and go find someone to encourage today.